What's up, guys? I'm going to walk you through my attack lineup for war. It's based on 10 attacks typically. Once I go beyond 10 attacks for any reason, if is prolonged for some reason, it gets slim pickings after that. But these are my 10 attacks that I use every war. The way of thinking I have with each one is I kind of have someone's number that I'm looking for. So there's particular defenses that I'm looking for that I know that these are the perfect counters for, and that's usually my way of thinking. Now I've hit 15 mil damage, hit 14.5 a couple of times, and then a couple wars ago I probably could have gotten into the 16 or 17 mil range if Armory would have stayed up a little bit longer and I wouldn't have botched my last attack. So the potential exists there to even push far beyond 15 mil, but you got to have the right ward in order to do that. So to start out with my first attack, this is obviously power armor. My particular power armor, there are no T4s. There probably most of them are level 70. There might be a couple level 75s. I think War Machine. He's the only one that's T14'd. Now, if there's some trash teams, I usually wait to use these guys in toes, but if I see the right attack before then, I'll use them then. So if you're not familiar, toes is an acronym for two on each side, which means when you're at the tail end of war, you've got all the global rooms down, that you whittle down the rooms till there's only two defenses to attack on each side of your room. So it's more something that happens at the higher end of the game. But these guys do punch up real hard on Wave 1 Avengers. So there's usually two teams that I look for that I try to go after so my alliance mates don't have to deal with them. That's Wave 1 Avengers and Marauders. So this is actually one of my attacks that I use on Wave 1 Avengers because they punch up pretty hard on Wave 1. You just have to worry about Thor. If there's a big beefy Thor, you may want to not punch up quite as hard if Thor is big. Lots of other uses for these guys, but those are the ones I look for because I know that they punch up pretty hard on one of them. Next, we have Brotherhood 2.0. Now, these guys are a great counter for probably about 6 or 7 different things. You can use them for anything from Pimtech. You can use them on Coulson Fury Shield. And probably my standard is I look for Technerva. So when you have Vision, Minerva paired up with Groot, Star-Lord, and Rocket, that's a very popular defense that some people have built up. These guys punch up good 100, 150k on them, and that's usually what I'm looking for. Next, we have X-Force. X-Force, I'm usually gunning for either a Doc Ock or Sinister Six, or I'm looking for Merc teams. So if it's Taskmaster and his merry band of Mercs, those are the guys I'm looking for to take these guys out with. Now, this is a really oddball hybrid team. So I had a lot of plug and play characters that were either homeless, or I thought maybe if I took them all off of their other homes. I used to have Shuri on Mercenaries. Ultron's been on a variety of different teams. Minerva's been on anything from Technerva to you name it. I actually was running Ultimus on Mercenaries for a little bit. And in the beginning, he posed a problem, but after a while, people figured out good counters for him, and people weren't as scared of him anymore. So, and for taunts, I have she taunts pretty quick. She's actually one of the quicker tanks in the game, and it's just to buy these guys enough time so Ultron can get some bots on the floor. These guys, I just look for anyone that not a ton of AoE damage, and that if they have a big beefy tank, I use Ultimus to get right through him. He will eat tanks alive, so he's very good for that. And basically, I'm just trying to buy time with giving defense up, heals from Minerva, and just to get these bots rolling so Ultron can do his thing. It's a good counter. It's not fantastic, but it's useful, and it's since these characters were all built up at some point in their careers, collectively together they make a pretty good team. Next, we have the Young Avengers Dad Bros team. I typically look for other Young Avenger teams. These guys. So if I see another, my Dad Bros are very built up. They counter everything from Asgardians, any squishy teams where that don't survive AOE's real well. These guys counter awesome. So, but typically, yeah, I look for another Young Avengers team. Now we're getting up into X-Men. X-Men, I typically look for Wave 1 Avengers. They're good to use on mercenaries as well. There's probably 2 or 3 teams that I look for, but typically I'm taking out Wave 1 Avengers. Wave 1 Avengers are the new hotness in the high-level game, so you'll see a lot of people with them built up. So I like to have lots of counters for Wave 1. Next, we have Inhumans. Also very good for Wave 1, but I am most comfortable punching across at most. I try not to be too risky with this counter. I feel like once you start getting too low, if they got a beefy Thor and Hawkeye is able to get, if the taunts come early and you're not able to delete Hawkeye quick enough, the blinds can be a problem. But punch across are typically pretty safe with these guys on Wave 1. Sometimes, depending on the team makeup, like if they're using Captain Marvel instead of Thor, or depending on what they're using, you can sometimes punch way up then instead. But because there isn't a tank per se, it's punch across are the safe route. And I like reliable counters. I don't like to be too risky, but speaking of risk, these are the guys I've dubbed the Hydra Guardians. Now, in War, keep in mind in War, once you're talking about armory buffs and the like, these teams can get very beefy. Like if we were to look at my symbiotes, this is what they'd be on defense when they're getting all the room buffs. So that being said, these guys, and I don't have all my Stark Tech maxed. I'm just over a year played, so I'm guessing 4 or 5 months from now, these numbers will go up quite a bit. But Hydra Guardians in War are probably about 630 for me. Something like that, I think. These guys can actually punch up on Marauders as high as 150k. There's a particular method to the madness in how you use them. A lot of it has to do with whether or not your Zemo goes before Strife or not. If Zemo goes before Strife, typically want to put ability block on Emma and then deal with Strife once he puts his taunt up. If Strife taunts before you go, then you load him up with Baron Zemo and everyone else, and you just load him up with everything. A lot of people ask me why I run Winter Soldier. Mine is 6 red stars. I've got his ultimate T-Ford, and he is one of the fastest Hydra guys, and he can delete a character all by himself with his ultimate. So that's why this team's about hitting hard and fast. Hydra Grenadier just doesn't fit the bill for me there. So this is the team I use. They come out really, really strong and can delete a couple of players before you even get to go. So to be safe, though, I usually try to punch across, punch up slightly. A lot of times I'll punch down a little bit on Marauders. But I like safe counters. I think you're serving your alliance best if you're not taking as many risks. And you're just making sure you get good, clean hits and get the kills and move on. Okay, everybody's got one of these. And in the high-level game, everyone's got them built up. Black Order, my best attack I've ever gotten with them was actually last War. I accidentally flipped too early, and I survived an Marauders that probably should have beaten me, and I actually came out with no deaths. and did about 2.5 mil damage, which normally I don't keep track too much to that extent. I'm not sure if I've ever done better than that, but I assume that's one of my better ones just because the fight went on really long, and because I flipped too early, that's why that went that way. And I think 2.5 mil in one attack is quite considerable. And then finally, we have the symbiotes. Most people have these built up for raids, and they're quite good a lot of other places. So for me, I actually also use these guys on Marauders. They work on the new hotness called the Coulson Fury of Inhumans team. Some people put Coulson and Fury with Inhumans, and oftentimes it takes a Black Order, but you can also use symbiotes to take them out. From what I understand, you can punch up using them for that, but I haven't tried punching up. I've only done safer attacks. Again, I was able to get 15 mil using this lineup, and I can tell the potential exists for upwards of 16 and 17 mil, depending on who we meet in war. But yeah, this is my current lineup, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me in the comments, and yeah, we will see you soon with another video. Probably defense next.